It is signing day for college basketball, and we're joined by head basketball coach Frank Haith at the University of Tulsa. And, Coach, it's always an exciting day, and I know you're thrilled with the three guys you signed today.
Really thrilled. We were able to add some size and some shooting, and which we needed, losing a guy like Martin Zibano in the paint, but also losing, some shooting too with Lawson Carita. So we were able to do both things with this class and get, like I said, some size and some guys that can put that ball in the hole.
And those are obviously very important things for you and your program. Let's go down the list if we can and start with Austin Ritchie, a 6'6" shooting guy, if you will, or swing man. Tell us about him.
Well, Austin is a guy that's really mature, Bruce. He's got a great body already. You look at his numbers, what he did from a shooting standpoint. He made 123s at a 45% clip. There's no question that's his strength. But I think Austin's maturity, in terms of his body, he'll be able to do some other things. We need him to do some other things, particularly on the defensive end and rebounding. But we lost some shooting, and I think that's primarily what we're looking for when we went out to recruit Austin. And, being a Chicago kid, some toughness, I think he'll have all that. And his competitive spirit is something I really, really like.
And you've mentioned, of course, his shooting, third in the nation in three-pointers made in the JUCO ranks, and his range appears to be almost unlimited. I mean, it looked like on tape he was making some NBA three-pointers.
Well, he's one of those guys, and I call this dead-legged shooting. He can catch the ball regardless of where he's at, and if he sees any daylight, his release is quick enough, he can get in a shot pocket and shoot it. And that's a skill set that a lot of people don't have. I mean, and he's one of those guys, when I remember talking to his coach, he said every time he shoots the ball, it looks like he's going in. So, he's one of those guys, when you're playing against him, or every time that ball is released, it looks like it's going in. That's a great quality to have. But those dead-legged shooters are hard to come by. And he's one of those guys that can make a shot off the standstill and just raise up and shoot it because he's got a quick release.
And, of course, that good shooting does transfer to his free throws at 85%, so that's an awfully good thing. And it looks like he has some length at 6'6", which helps you defensively, doesn't it?
It does, and you know how we play defense, and that's going to be – everybody we sign is going to be able to help us that end. But I think we've gotten better there this past year, and I think we will continue to get better. But there's no question his size and his girth. He's an older kid, so he's been out of college for a couple of years. Out of high school a couple of years. And but we want to be able to stay with that theme in terms of having guys with a physical body and play with a physical nature.
Coach, let's go to Ray Idowu, who is a transfer from Illinois State, a guy that started 14 games last year for the Redbirds. He's the guy that brings you a little size, isn't he?
He is, and I think when you look at his numbers, he didn't score a whole lot at Illinois State, but I based on watching him, I think he can be better at scoring. But what I love about him is his competitive spirit. And when you recruit big guys, you always look at this one thing: do they have good hands, and where's their motor at? And he is high level in both those areas. So he will need to improve in some other areas, but the kid has great hands. And he plays with extreme energy, like he's not afraid to go rebound out of his area and go attack a ball. And I think his enthusiasm that way, in terms of when you talk to him, he wants to learn. He's a very bright young man. I think he'll pick up what we do defensively, and I think he'll really blossom in our system.
And at 6'9" and 240, he definitely does bring you the girth that every team needs, especially around the basket.
Yeah, and you look at, we have Manny coming back, we have Josh coming back, and you add this young man, it gives you another guy with some kind of size and girth in that paint area. He's American size ready to be able to compete in American. And, I think, our team is going to be a lot different. I know we're talking about the guys we signed today, but with the addition of a Curtis Haywood, Keyshawn Embry, those guys are scorers on the perimeter we didn't have last year. So we don't necessarily need a score type guy in the low post, although I think Ray will be able to score. But we're going to be a different type team because of that, because our offense is going to be a lot more on the perimeter.
Your third signee today is Peyton Urbanchik. He is a high school youngster who again has length at 6'5". Tell us about that young man from Florida.
you can kind of see the theme we went with, Bruce, when you look at these guys. I mean, there's another guy 6'6", long, and if you ever seen the clips of him, he's pretty athletic, but he's got great range. He can shoot the ball. And I think with that 3-point line moving back, there was something I really wanted our staff and us to focus on is continue to recruit shooting. Lawson really got it going late in the year for us shooting the ball. And we know how valuable that was for us. Adding another guy that can shoot the ball was extremely important to me, and a kid that fits into what we are all about here at Tulsa, a high character kid who comes with a great work ethic. I think all three guys are gym rats. And that's the one thing with every one of those coaches that I talked to about these young men, these guys are not afraid to work. And I love that about this class is that this is a working class. This is a group that it will come in with a mindset ready to work.
Coach, Peyton's head coach in high school said that he's deceptively athletic, and you touched upon that already. But you saw on tape a couple of really spectacular dunks and some plays where it's like, ooh, here's a kid that maybe doesn't look athletic, but boy, he's deceptive, and all of a sudden he slams it on you.
Yeah, he's not afraid to attack the rim, and the first thing that caught my eye about him was his aggression and his toughness. And when you talk to all of his coaches, AAU and high school coach, they talk about the kid is not afraid. He's very tough. But you see his sneaky hops when he gets in that rim and when he goes with assertion, and he's not afraid to go up. And I mean, he's 6'6", and he's long. He's got good length. And he, again, also like Austin Ritchie and Ray, will do very well in our defense.
Coach, so you'll welcome those three along with the young man you signed in the fall, Keyshawn Williams from Chicago. How did he finish out his senior year?
They had a great year. I mean, he was obviously he played on a great high school team. They have a couple other Division I players on their team, but he was there. I think they got cut short like we did. I think when they got beat, but he was having an awesome year. He averaged, I guess, close to 16, 17 points a game. But what he does give us is some speed, some athleticism. Obviously, we're going to need some point guard play. I think he's a combo because he can score a little bit, but he can definitely handle that ball and get in the offense. But I love his burst. I mean, he'll be one of our most athletic and quickest players on our team because he's got a tremendous burst with the ball. And he, too, I think, can be an outstanding defender.
Signing day is always very special, but let's back up a little bit, Coach, and talk about the kind of jagged end to the season, if you will. But as you look back on it now, what a spectacular season for your team to win your first ever American Athletic Conference championship. What are your thoughts about the season? Not necessarily about how it ended, because we all know how it ended, but just your thoughts about the overall body of work.
Well, I was so proud of these guys, Bruce. You look at how we started and then how this team just kept getting better and better, which is what you want your team to do. And but we got to the point where and we started talking about winning a championship with our team when we got in conference play. We said this is this is the next part of a season, and we want to compete for a championship. And our guys started to believe that as we started to win basketball games, and you could just see our confidence get better and better. I was just so proud of how our seniors took a leadership role, and Martins and Lawson. They were tremendous leaders, tremendous guys in the locker room. You can't have the success we have unless you have great chemistry, and you have to have great leadership. Those guys were tremendous. And you could just see this team believing. Some games we didn't play as well in terms of shoot the ball as well, but the one thing we did, we defended. And that's how we won a championship. And that's something that we can hang our hats on. And I think, the guys that are coming back, we do have a lot of guys coming back that experienced it, that understand that we were able to be in games even though we didn't shoot the ball well because we defended. And it's amazing though, Bruce. Well, I thought we got to the tournament, even though we had a tough loss to Wichita State, we were primed to do some special things down in Fort Worth. And this team would have played in postseason. I would have liked to see, how we would have done in postseason with this team because of how our mindset was on that end of the court. And, when you get in postseason play and you can defend, you always give yourself a chance.
And obviously it goes without saying that the most disappointing part was to have Martins and Lawson not get to play in postseason this year, and that would have been special.
Yeah, and Bruce, you were on the bus when we got back, and that or when we got back from Fort Worth, and we were told the tournament was canceled. That was an emotional time we got back in the locker room, and you just don't have any preparation for it. This is it. You don't. It was just that was it. The season was over, and I felt bad for both those guys, because there's the two guys that were with us for 4 years, and you saw every growth in those young men in terms of how they handled their careers over the 4 years, and you saw them have the tough moments. And I look at Martin's this year, how he was struggling so early on, trying to make layups, and I call it the yips. And you saw Lawson goes through the stretches he went through, but then you saw both those guys play their best basketball at the end of the year, and I really believe that both those guys had their best run they've had in their whole careers, and that's what you want as seniors. And then to finish it like that, it was really disappointing. And I know those guys really, as I said, when we got back, you could just see the emotions and that we had to deal with, and talking to our guys about the ending of the season.
Well, Coach, congratulations, obviously, on the season and on signing day, and stay safe.
Thank you, Bruce. Same to you.